Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Todd Fox from the Halos in the Infield post game show doing a podcast here with my guest host on the day, Josh. Where are you residing from, Josh?
Whittier, California.
Whittier, California. Geez, just like me. What part of Whittier? You South or North Whittier?
East Whittier by
Oh,
like Murphy Ranch, Lucerne area by
oh,
the
okay,
Whitwood.
okay. Yeah, well, the Woodland Mall. Okay. All right, cool. I'm down by Carmenita, close to, I guess, La Mirada and stuff like that. So,
Oh, I know what you're talking about. By
yeah,
the
I'm South
park?
Whittier. Yeah. So, I'm down that way, close to Imperial. But enough about Whittier. Josh is a fellow Angel fan like you and myself, and he's been also. I mean, he's not an older gentleman like myself, but he has watched enough Angels baseball to give himself some gray hair at his young, ripe age. But even though he doesn't
Yeah.
have any, but the Angels, man, coming off this series, we haven't been doing post games the last couple of days because all kinds of stuff's been going on. But why? The way they've been playing, Josh, these 4 games in general. I mean, your thoughts about how they've been playing, and I get it. Seattle is good, and they're right there pushing for that division with Houston, but you got to compete. And do you think they've already checked out?
Yeah, I think most of the team is checked out. I think it's even running or rubbing off on a lot of the young guys. They don't even look into it, even though they should be playing for an opportunity next year. Everyone just looks defeated. I even think with the injuries, I think a lot of the guys, if we were in contention, would be in this lineup. I'm not sure that Shanwell would be gone. I'm not sure that Neto would be gone. I'm not sure Adele would have taken off as long as he did. But it's hard to get into it. Torrey Hunter didn't even want to, travel with the team to Seattle. So I think everyone's done.
Yeah, and if that's the case, I mean, for me, like my dad was saying, why is Torrey Hunter in the dugout? And I said, well, it's one of two things. Maybe they're trying to motivate the guys, the young kids, to keep them playing to the end of the season, or Torrey's auditioning for a manager job for next year. But I just don't see that being a possibility because that would be undermining your current staff and they would feel a certain way about it. And then that would just bring up contention in the clubhouse. But my thing about this, Josh, is like with Tori not being there too, and stuff like that. It's just like when you think the Angels are doing something, they go the opposite way. When they find something, they lose it. I think that's been the most frustrating thing for me all season. Is you see the potential, and like you said, Netos and the Adeles, you see the fire in their eyes, and now we're not seeing even a spark. So it's tough to watch, right?
Yeah, it's like even the positives from earlier in the season, like the fact that we would hit around every team's ace. You would bring in a Yamamoto or a Scooble, one of these top guys, and we put up 5 runs. Now we face, Brian Wu, and everyone's just dead at the plate, especially a guy like Trout. But even the fire, the competitiveness, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
had a lot of comeback wins earlier in the season, and that's gone. If we're down by 2, if we're down by 3, turn the game off.
Yeah, it's been one of these things where they've been frustrating to watch on many occasions because, like, the pitching that we've all dogged at times, which at times they give up runs, and I know it skews the ERAs, but there's been a lot of times, more often than not, where you'll get a very good Kyle Hendricks outing. You'll get a very good Kikuchi outing. You might get an even better Soriano outing. But then it's like they get no hitting, man. All of a sudden, you're looking at the box score and they've got like 16, 18 strikeouts, no walks, just putrid hitting. And then when their team does not get any, kind of pitching, they're just getting little scraps here and there for some comeback runs. But, you could tell the hitting just can't make up for the pitching if the pitching's not on. And now we're just seeing a collection of just nothing going right. They're making errors, they're giving up runs. They're striking out way more than they normally do, and man, it's an embarrassing watch, man. I mean, right now it feels like how the hell did they get 69 wins?
Yeah, this team has no drive left, especially the veterans. It's like you'd almost rather see the bottom of the lineup. These guys like, Denzer Guzman and Simo and even Davidson, he sucks, but at least he's trying at the plate where it looks like Trout, Moncada, Ward, they're up there striking out. Doesn't really look like they care. The
Yeah,
the
no,
drive is gone from this team.
absolutely. Ward, when he said those comments about, yeah, if it's 0-2, I'm still going to swing for the fences. It's like that's not team ball, that's you ball. And I think that there is so much to overhaul, Josh. This, like, let's just say best case scenario, in your opinion, if they were to get some good free agents in here, a couple guys, they put in a new managerial staff, a new GM, could they contend next year, or is it something that's so bad it's going to take 2 or 3 years of really good modifications?
Well, I think the biggest thing is even if we get these big free agents, say we get the Japanese dude or a Eugenio Suarez or a Shane Bieber, the approach at the plate has to change. I mean, when you're fifth in home runs and 30th in average, I mean that just says something that's wrong with the organization, that's wrong with the approach. So you could sign top free agents, but if everyone's just going to go up there striking out half the time, it's not going to make a difference. I think we have the talent on this team where we could have been competitive. I'm not saying that we could have made the playoffs with this team, but we could be hovering around 500 right now with good coaching and with the right approach. It's just we don't have that. And I think in order to contend realistically, we're going to also have to get lucky with the pitching. We're going to need
Yeah.
a good season from Detmers, or Dana's going to have to step in as a legitimate starter, or Bremner, Ryan Johnson. One of these guys is going to have to prove to be a legit starting pitcher, and we're going to need development from Adele, Neto, Shonowell, and the catcher position is going to have to sort itself out. Whether we sign a free agent catcher or whether Ohapi turns it around. So I think it's going to take more than a couple good free agents this offseason.
I agree, and the whole not well, Soriano's got to turn the page and try to become that ace, but the Ohapi thing, man, I mean that one really took a turn for the worst. And with Darno, what do you do right there? I mean, he didn't really have a great season either, and you would like a veteran like him to push Ohapi. It just didn't seem like he pushed him. It seemed like he was forced into the lineup most nights. Yeah, he had a couple clutch hits here and there, but I mean, you still got a guy that's batting 207 or 200. That's not exactly pushing a kid that's got to be pushed like Ohapi, unfortunately. So yeah, there's a lot of things that this team has got to do different. And I agree with you. I think the Angels could be where Kansas City or Cleveland is right now in the wild card had they did a few things different, had they changed their approach, they could be right there because they've blown a lot of baseball games this year. And I'm not just talking about in the late innings with closing, but opportunities, man. You're talking bases loaded, nobody out, not getting a run, second and third, not being able to get a run, first and second, nobody out, no bunting. Just a lot of things that have hurt this squad. And it is a shame to see, them wasting some of this talent. They've had some career years by some of these dudes, and the bullpen has been a strength at times. If you look up and down that bullpen, with the exception of some of the DFA guys they've gotten, they haven't been too bad, keeping them in ball games. So, um, yeah, and especially last thing I got on this, so I mean, Houston and Seattle, Josh. I mean, they've been dropping games and then winning games, and they have allowed Texas back into the playoff chase, wild card, and the division. It's all of a sudden turned into a race, and I think it goes back to what we said earlier in the year in the prediction show, and also you guys on the post game is the fans were like, man, it's not going to take a lot of wins to win this division, and in the end, had they did a few things, I mean, we could be sitting right there with Texas, don't you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. This is the weakest the AL West has been in forever. And we finally fielded a team with enough talent where we could actually be competitive. It's like last year's team, that was never going to be a good team. There just wasn't the talent. But this year, we had some legit guys, and this division's wide open. Houston, they're not the same Houston of old that was winning World Series and making these playoff runs. Seattle, I mean, it's like the whole season when we've played them, we've at least been able to kind of stay competitive with them. I don't look at the Seattle team like it's a real killer. I mean, the Mariner or not the Mariners, the Rangers hovered around 500 for most of the season, and now they're in contention. I mean, what does that tell you about this division? And
Yeah.
Seattle, they went on their losing skid. I think Houston is on one right now. So if it's like if we just made some adjustments, if we came in with the right strategy, and we made some of the right moves, we could be in this thing.
Yeah, I
But
mean, there was
I think it's an organizational issue more than anything.
I agree 100%. And that's one of the reasons why I brought you on here. A couple things. I mean, Houston went 28 innings without scoring at one point this year. But your takes have been hot on the post game show. You brought up earlier in the year.
Mhm.
You said, "Man, Joe Adell is going to put up all-star numbers," which he did. Didn't get picked though. That was you thought he was going to put up, and then the fact that when a lot of people were like, "Yeah, it's a flash in the pan. I think he's going to cool off." You were the one saying that he's the guy that should be out there. He's the guy that should be leading the club, and he is. And all of a sudden, Taylor Ward. We haven't heard much from him since what, early August. He's been cold. So it's been Joe Adell. If he didn't have that little injury, he's probably going to make 40 home runs. But what a season for him! And also, you called a couple other things during the post game shows this season, so you've had some hot takes on everything. Other thing I got to ask you about is Mike Trout. That is the biggest enigma on this team because we've talked about the leadership aspects of him just not being able to take the bull by the horns and say, "Hey guys, follow me." Not even by his play. Like some leaders are quiet and you feed off of how they play. He's not giving this team anything. What, in your opinion, is wrong with him, and can it be fixed? And can it be fixed in as a three-part question? Can just basically can Trout be fixed by next year? Because obviously this year is lost.
I think he can be fixed, but I think he needs to put in the work. And I just don't get the vibes that he's really working in the off season. I don't get the vibes that he's talking to hitting coaches, he's asking people about his swing, that he's in the cage. I mean, it seems like he just kind of rolls out of bed and thinks he's gonna, hit well. And it's like pitchers know how to attack him. They know if you throw high fastballs, you're gonna strike him out every time. I mean, this series, I didn't count, but I'd bet he struck out more than 10 times. And I'd bet 80-90% of the pitches that were thrown to him were fastballs up in the zone.
Yeah, he had three more today, Josh. So I mean, the team
Yeah.
as a whole had 18, but yeah, it's a shame to see where he's at because there's been slow motion replays. I even did one of those Heady Sports Centers where he struck out to end the game and he was a full half second behind on a fastball. It's not even like you're not throwing a Randy Johnson fastball with crazy movement and high velocity. I mean, you're talking 93, 95 is getting the once great Mike Trout just looking terrible. And this is not how I predicted Trout's career to end. If you would have told me in 2020 when he started to get the injuries after that COVID year and stuff like that, that we would see a Mike Trout not even be at 500 at this point and struggling to hit a fastball at the age of what, 32 going on 33, um I would say you're insane because I wouldn't figure his decline till about 37, maybe 38. Once you start approaching that 40 plateau, how do you feel as an Angel fan knowing that that is your guy, that is our guy, that's the franchise's guy, but to see where he's at right now, I mean, like, I know you kind of broke it down a little bit, but do you have the hope that this can change? Do you see it changing in your opinion?
I don't really see it changing. And it's funny because Trout's always been my favorite player. I started watching the Angels at least like fairly consistently in Trout's rookie year. And I
Mhm.
remember going to the games as a kid and I'd see Trout hit home runs. And I remember, I would stay up late and wait for Trout to come to the plate. And now it's just sad. I mean, you watch him go to the plate and every single time you expect him to strike out. And I just don't see it changing because I don't see any drive in him at all. I mean, there's an obvious flaw in his swing. Besides the fact that he can't hit the high fastball, his leg kick is 2 feet high, and you're doing the leg kick for timing, and he's late every time. So what does
Yep.
that say? That says cut it in half at least. At least tweak it, try. I mean, isn't it worth trying if you're striking out 75% of the time?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably keep your toes on the ground and lift your heel. You don't have to bring
Yeah.
it off the ground. Because you're absolutely right, dude. I mean, there's so many games that even when he connects with a fastball, he's fouling it off on the 400 side of first base, which like goes to your point. He's late. I mean, he's extremely late. So when Trout is on it, he doesn't have a Ken Griffey Jr. pretty swing, but he does have a nice drive when he either hits a curveball to left field or a fastball, and it's just a clean connect off the barrel. And we haven't seen, I don't think this year, a clean connect off the barrel of a fastball. I've seen him hit to right center field, a nice, swing, but to pull one and put that traditional Mike Trout left field bomb into one, dude, I haven't seen it, man. That means he is, like you said, extremely late to the fastball.
Yeah, it seems like he's relying on the quick hands, but I don't think his hands are quick as they used to be. I mean, I remember it was like butter. It's like if you put a fastball down the middle, low in the zone, forget about it. That was a hit, that was a single, that was a double for Trout, that was a home run. Now it's like you could throw it in Trout's wheelhouse and he'll look at it every time he's going up there and he'll either walk or he'll strike out. He doesn't have any interest in swinging the bat. It's like he knows that he can't hit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Before the strikeouts and the analytics took over, I think it was like guys like Pedro Alvarez from Pittsburgh and a few other guys that started to strike out a lot, but they were striking out not because of analytics, because well, their game they got older, and the game was starting to pass them by, and they weren't getting struck out. These power hitters by fastballs. They were getting fooled on curveballs, sliders, sweepers, breaking pitches in general, and it's like it was one of those things where you would see them hit a home run, but it would be only off of a fastball. You'd be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, the pitcher had to throw a 3-1 pitch right there to get me over fastball, and he got burned, or it was a 2-0 fastball." You know, it's almost like they're throwing their sweepers and sliders, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna get him with a fastball." It's like, dude, I've watched a lot of baseball, Josh, and I've never seen a power hitter in their prime or even after their prime, where the pitchers actually prefer to go to the fastball.
Yeah, it seems like the adjustment that pitchers are making to the rest of our hitters that hit for power, like Ohapi, Neto recently, is to throw them the sweepers, the curveballs, the splitters, you know, fool them. Have the power hitter looking for a fastball and get him out in front. Whereas Trout, he can't catch up to the fastball. So it's like a guaranteed strike as long as you put it over the plate because he just can't hit it. I mean, you see pitchers, then they're throwing 92, 92 low in the zone to Trout, and he can't catch up to it.
Correct. Yeah, it's really frustrating to watch, and I'm glad you brought up the hitters with the sweepers because the sweepers have been killing us all year, Josh. And like, I don't know how much experience you have playing baseball, the game at any kind of pro level or outside level, league level, but I mean, at least the basics to where if you're getting a sweeper on the outside corner and it's traditionally going over there and you're trying to pull the ball, you're either going to pop up or you're going to roll over it and hit a weak ground ball. That's if you don't strike out. Like, why aren't our hitters just taking what the pitcher gives them and saying, okay, if you're going to try to get me on the outside corner, I'm just going to poke it the other way?
I think it's an organizational thing. I think these guys are being encouraged to try to pull everything over the fence. Like Ohapi, it's like that the pitcher is getting free strikes or free rollovers every time they throw an outside sweeper. Kyron Paris, the reason he's in AAA right now and not a productive major leaguer is because he can't hit the sweeper.
Correct.
Kyron Paris can crush fastballs. If you put him up in the big leagues and they're only throwing him fastballs, he'll be putting up the same numbers he was before, but he can't touch a sweeper. Even Neto recently, when it looked like he was trying to get to 30 home runs, they were catching him out in front with the outside sweeper. Is because these guys, they're not being encouraged to hit to all fields, to take what the pitcher gives you. Johnny Washington and the analytics guys are all encouraging him to swing for the fences every single time.
Yeah, and that's such a terrible thing to watch because I've had so many people tell me, Josh, about and like everyone's been picking up on it, saying, "Well, if we can see it, why can't the organization make the move, make the call?" And where I try to like X out Artie as much as I can because I hate talking about the guy, but it just seems to keep going back to him, man, because again, I guess you feed off of what your leader delivers and what he represents. And Artie has an ego, man. I mean, we've seen it before when they booed him on opening day. They took his whole video roll out of the Calling All Angels because he didn't like the bad publicity, right? And I think it's one of those things where he thinks this is the way of the future. This is the way the baseball should be played, and regardless of how it's going in the box, he just continues to say, "Hey, let's keep grinding, let's keep doing it." And I keep seeing the coaches preaching the same thing, and it's like, man, I don't know if those games where they actually score 9 runs and have 11 hits and have 5 walks is just good fortune and bad pitching by the other team, or that we actually adjust and play like a real baseball team. Because there's nights, especially against the Dodgers, the Padres, we can point to certain series where this team looks fire, and you're like, man, if they play like this every night, they're not going to win every game, but they're going to either push to win every game or they're going to sneak some W's into that win column. And then they just go back to this mindless baseball that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, we beat the Dodgers 6 times out of 6. We looked really competitive in that Padres series. There was a stretch for about a month, month and a half where every team's ace was getting hit around. And
Yep.
it's like when we were able to dial in and just focus on getting runs instead of players focusing on their individual performances, when we were stringing together hits and, clearly dialed in, we looked like a really good baseball team. And then for the rest of the games, the other team would roll out a guy with a 5 ERA, a 6 ERA, and they'd strike everyone out. It's like, this season, 20 guys, 30 guys had to have gotten their career high in strikeouts against the Angels. Guys that you've never heard of, guys that suck, are just throwing the outside sweeper and the high fastball and getting the team to strike out 10, 12 times. It
Yeah,
just shows you that the team had the talent to at least, remain somewhat competitive with the right approach, but it's like, we haven't had the right approach.
that's true. And we've talked about too on the post game show about leaders and being able to have that feistiness too, because sometimes in the 90s and 2000s and when I played in minor leagues, sometimes you would actually start a beanball war or try to start a spark with your team by showing emotion. Like if you were thrown out at second, but you thought you were safe, and back then they didn't have the replay, you throw a helmet, you throw something, you try to pump up, and you're going up and down the dugout yelling at your teammates, trying to invoke some passion if you felt the team wasn't living up to your standards as a competitor. So, with that being said, we've seen a couple flashes from Neto trying to do that to pump his guys up, but they lose it as quickly as they get the momentum, as quickly as they turn the tables in their favor. And you know, if a guy like Neto doesn't do that, I mean, this team's going to go quiet all year. And we saw it with with Ron Washington. His heart condition didn't allow him to be feisty. We've seen Ray Montgomery be a little feisty, but it's like I think it's what you said, organization wise, Josh, this team has zero fight and fire. And because we've seen our guys get hit and we don't retaliate either.
Yeah, it's like the other day against the A's, we got hit, what, 7 times? No
Yeah.
one said anything. No one barked at the pitcher. No one made a scene. I think I don't know. I heard this, I'm sure, on the broadcast that we've been hit more than any other team. And besides that, Zach Neto and Hunter Brown situation, I haven't seen one reaction. I mean, the injuries to Shonowell, to Neto, to a lot of these guys have all been from hit by pitches, you know?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like even in the field, you know, you just haven't seen much energy. You see Taylor Ward out there and he's giving up extra bases because he wants to lob in the ball. There's just not that fire. And when there was, it's been extinguished. And I think it's gotten worse with Ray Montgomery. I mean, he
Yeah,
looks like a dead man.
yeah, he does, and that's the thing too. He's been with this organization, I think, longer than he should have been. I didn't realize he had been in the organization since the early days of Joe Madden. And yeah, the problem with the Angels is like they kind of did it with Sosha. They cleaned out all his crew. And I think you got to do that here, man. You got to clean everybody out. You can't have anybody that resembles this because you want to pass on a new message. You want to like for me, if I was going to walk into the Angels dugout and I'm the new manager next year, I'm going to have like a whiteboard or a chalkboard and I'm just going to write accountability. Like everyone's going to be held to a higher standard and you're going to have to, you pay for what your mistakes. You're going to have to work to get out of the doghouse. Nobody's a guaranteed spot. Like I would make it generally clear, Josh, like I don't care if your name's Mike Trout and we're paying you 38 million or 35, whatever we're paying him. I don't want you to feel that your spot in the lineup is guaranteed. Like I will because I mean it just seems like there has to be a different approach, bro. Like it doesn't feel like anybody like to go to your point about us being hit so many times. Like if this was a team where we had drafted the pitchers and the hitters and we had a young core of both coming up together, I would feel that they would stick up for each other because, oh, we played together in Rocket City. Oh, we played together in Salt Lake. We played together. We were drafted together. Oh no, you're not going to hit Adele. That's my guy. Like I'm a throw back at you. There's none of that, bro, because we don't have that cohesiveness. Number one, we deal players too much. Number two, and number three, we don't have that core on both sides. We may have it as hitters, but we don't have it as the pitchers, man. I mean, like because we don't it seems like we just don't treat our pitchers the same as we do our hitters.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem with the pitchers has all been mental. I mean, you
Yeah.
look at these guys, we have guys with top tier stuff, guys that should be elite pitchers. Zephyr John, amazing stuff. Soriano, Detmers up until this year. You have Sam Bachman down in AAA. His ERA is like point 0.4 in 30 innings. I mean, these guys have legit stuff, but they have no passion, and it looks like they implode every time they give up a base runner. It's like they feel bad for themselves the second something doesn't go their way.
And why is that? Because you had brought up other pitchers on the post game show. You named other names that have now made it up to majors at certain points. Name a few other pitchers that have, piqued your interest as far as having the right stuff and have underperformed up here. And what would you do to change that mentality?
Um, I think the most interesting pitcher in the organization is what's his face, George Clausen. Obviously, he hasn't made it up to the major leagues, but I mean, top tier stuff. But he's pitching to a 6 ERA down in Rocket City, and that's just because he doesn't have the right approach. Zephyr John doesn't have the right approach. Caden Dana, he seems to have some of the same mental issues as Detmers does. So I think the biggest problem with these pitchers overall in this organization, even though they have elite stuff, is number one, the coaching. The coaches aren't telling them, hey, attack the hitters. You have the stuff to beat the hitters inside the zone. Everyone's trying to pitch to the corners, trying to get guys to chase. It's like, Soriano, he'll give up all these walks. He doesn't need to be walking anyone. He can locate the ball really well.
Hmm.
And then the other problem is just mental. It's like, oh, I gave up a run. Let me hold my head down. I think that's what happened to Detmers during his little explosion earlier in the season, where he gave up 13 runs and got one out. I mean, he's way too good of a pitcher to be doing that. But I mean, that was the problem his first few seasons. It's like he'd give up a run, someone would hit a home run. He wouldn't get the call, and then he'd hang his head down.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's spot on. That just goes to make this goes to a point I had made a few weeks ago about the fact that the Angels, when they've had their best success, have had managers and coaches that were in place that did a good job, that were able to reach the players. You had like for pitching wise, I'm trying to think. Matt Wise wasn't great. Like, I think he was part of the problem too. We're hiring these pitching coaches that, like, they just don't have the pedigree. They don't have the in-game experience to be like, "Hey, man, I pitched in Game 6 of the World Series of this game. I know how it takes to get out a power pitcher. This is what you got to do, kid. You got better stuff than I do. You got to get in their head and pump them up." And also work with them behind the scenes. And I don't think we have that aggressive coaching. Like, even it, but because I had a friend tell me, well, Mike Maddox, I think is still with the Rangers, but he's their guy, right? And he didn't pitch all that great in the majors, but his brother did, and he knows from working with his brother, because they used to work out together, how good Greg Maddox was. So Mike Maddox uses his experiences with his brothers, and that's why you have good pitching there. The Dodgers had Rick Honeycutt for over 20 years, one of the best pitching coaches. Now they got Mark Pryor. Mark Pryor is right there. He knows how to calm down guys, and I think that's the influence of coaching and managing that has either been zapped by the analytics, or we just don't have the, like you said, Johnny Washingtons of the world, that don't have the experience, that have never played at a high level, that can't pass on what they've learned because what they learned wasn't good enough. Like we've said it multiple times. I want that Albert Pujols or the Carlos Delgado or the Yadier Molinas, guys like that with tremendous amounts of knowledge, respect, and a calming factor, and have been leaders in the dugout to teach my guys to get to that next level. Because you're spot on, dude, with Detmers and other pitchers. It's like look what happened when Soriano actually had a conversation with Pedro. He had his two best starts of the year. I mean, he's back to back, just pitching really good. You need someone consistent like that in the dugout.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at the Houston Astros little dynasty that they had. It's not like they had a bunch of top prospects, a bunch of. I mean, they had a couple top draft picks, but that's not what built their core. They would take guys that were, pitching to a 4 ERA, a 5 ERA, or guys from the Dominican that everyone overlooked, and they would turn them into good pitchers. They would take hitters that, they weren't ranked highly as prospects, and they would turn them into good hitters. They won their World Series. They didn't win it like the Dodgers, where you go out and you sign Otani and Freeman and Betts. They built it inside their organization through player development, and we're just not doing that. We're destroying our talent. It took Joe Adell this long to break out because of the coaching. I mean, I was always so confused why Joe Adell isn't a star. I
Mhm.
mean, you just look at the talent, the bat speed, the athleticism. He should have been doing this 2, 3 years ago. He was putting up 50 home run pace down in Salt Lake. He had the
Yeah.
ability. It's just the coaches destroyed him up until this point.
Yeah, I think him, Ward, Detmers. We talk about a lot of players been yo-yoed up and down out of this organization. All their options being used, and at the worst possible times. So yeah, it's been frustrating to watch, man. I know you've been one of the biggest Joe Adele supporters out there. You've seen that even when we doubted him, that hey, man, this guy's going to take it to the next level, and he did. So that was a good call, but getting back to what Houston, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Ty Buttrey did an interview with Fernando, obviously former Angel. He went to the Astros before I think he closed out his career. But he said the difference with Houston and the Angels is the Angels have a more of an apathetic type of mindset, whereas the Astros are focused and they're about winning. And if you're not about it either, then they don't want to be a part of you or have you a part of them. So I think, Josh, this team needs to find an Angels culture that involves winning and stick to it. Let's stop signing the Anthony Rendones. Uh, let's do our research and say if we found a halo way of winning, well, by God, you got to meet those standards, there's a door. Don't let it hit you on the way out, type of deal, right?
Yeah, it's not even like we've made an attempt. If we made an attempt at creating our own culture and creating our own style of play, and it just didn't work out, you could excuse that. But for the past 10, 12 years, this team has just been casual. It's just been, hey, let's, sign all the second tier free agents. Let's sign the guys that no one wanted. Oh, we lost. We don't really care. And that's why we let all this talent slip through our hands, is because we've always been a casual team. I watched the highlights from these other teams and they look so into it. They look like they love baseball. Do you think Renhefo loves baseball when you watch him play?
No, not when he's jogging back on center field, the ball that flies over his head. There's no
Yeah,
passion there.
Renhefo looks like he's there to talk to the guy at second base. I mean, that looks like the highlight of his games.
Well, don't forget the gold chain. He's got to represent with a gold
Oh,
chain.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Ohapi started doing that.
Yeah,
Bad
man.
timing.
No, no kidding, man. Just like the bowling event was bad timing. But but man, another thing before we jump off here, I appreciate your time again today. It's rough after a sweep. I Our goal again this year as a page, as a network was, hey man, hopefully the Angels can make it fun and get to September. But all things that we've talked about today and on the show, obviously we've not met that goal. We got to August, but I would say starting to mid August and then on to where we're at right now is that the team is completely checked out, like you said earlier in the show. Um, do do you get the feeling I'm getting that the Angels will make a big off season depending on what happens with Artie, just in time for the strike in 27? I mean, would that be the most angel thing to happen? Because other than, you just bringing another thing that popped up in my head real quick, we should change the name from Los Angeles Angels to and bring back the CA Casual Angels. I like the sound of that. But
Yeah, I don't know. It could be another regular classic Angels offseason where we sign Brandon Drury and Jorge Soler and Travis Darno and call it a day. We're either going to do that or we'll get one guy like, a Bieber or a Suarez or maybe the Japanese dude if we haven't scared him off with our, performance. Uh,
well, let's hope that those international players, whether they come from Japan, Korea, the Dominican, or whatever, don't pay attention too much on the standings, because I think that's the only
yeah.
way we could fool them right now. I mean, I think that this team with an owner that doesn't want to overpay, that's the only way we're going to get some really good players here. We're going to have to overpay, so where a team like the Cardinals, the Dodgers, the Cubs can give them a fair contract. We're going to have to overstep that by at least 10 to 15 million to sign one of these guys.
Yeah, and then at that point, we're just hoping and praying it works out because this Murakami dude, he could be Otani or he could be Renifo, and you don't
Yeah.
really know until they come over, right? So,
Yeah.
I and you never know. We could get a Bregman or a Bichette, and they could fall apart. We could get Bieber, and his arm can fall off again. There's
Yeah.
no guy in this free agent class that's rock solid. There's not a Aaron Judge or a Juan Soto where you just know they're going to be a great player year in and year out. So could be another Hamilton or Pujols or Rendon incoming if we get one of these guys.
See, and here's the thing too. I mean, like we talked about it, they could have did a Pavetta. I mean, that's more of our speed. Like we have to get a pitcher, a starting pitcher that's willing to take a 1 year or 2 year at 10 to $15 million. I'm fine with that. If we can get a couple more Kikuchis, I guess I'm fine with that because that would help the rotation. It would give more time for the young guys to marinate. I think this is a year you have to get two or three starters. I think two at minimum, three at the best case scenario, and then you could fit in the last two spots with existing Soriano Kikuchi. and then let those kids just start in the minors with a new mindset, and then have them push to come up, and then they'll push those veterans too. So I've always felt that you can rebuild from within and from the outside at the same time, but you got to do it the right way, man. And again, I just I've given Perry a pass. I guess this is my last question for you, dude. Is Perry, in your mind, capable of fixing the Angels, or do we have to get another GM?
I don't know that it's a Perry problem. I mean, you look at Seattle, right? Who's their GM? It's Depoto.
Hmm.
He drafted Kyle Raleigh in the third round. You got he might win MVP this year. You got Brian Wu. He got him in what, the sixth round.
Hmm.
So if Perry, if he had you know a top tier farm system development beneath him, and top tier scouts beneath him, and an owner that was willing to pay up, I think he could facilitate a rebuild. But I don't think Perry is some genius. I think Perry's kind of a very average GM. I think he's got some ideas, but I think as it stands, with Artie as the owner, and the minor league system as it is, I don't think Perry can get it done.
Well, we'll find out sooner or later here coming up, because I'm pretty sure you're going to get a a ton of Angels news in the off season. I think I don't know if it's they're going to wait till after the World Series. I know they traditionally like to, but we'll see. We've seen the Dodgers do moves during the World Series in the postseason, so maybe the Angels can't wait to get the off season going. Then we're going to see trial stuff with Artie. So, I mean, a lot of Angel news leading into the new year. We're just hoping it's on the positive side, because I would really like to watch some competitive baseball. Just I think I had what was it, Mateo say, "Man, are we ever going to have a Halos in the Infield post game playoff edition?" And right now, it's just right when I thought maybe it's a little closer this year. It's still just as far away, bro. I can't sit here and tell you, even with a good off season, that this team could make it. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I don't see it happening next year either. It's just really tough right now to be an Angel fan, right?
Yeah, for a while I was really believing in the 2026 is our year, but so much has to go right for us to even compete for a playoff spot next year, let alone be real contenders that teams are, looking like, oh, it's the Angels. So I don't know. It's hard to believe in this team when Artie's the owner.
Absolutely. I mean, I know the analytics have to change. That's for damn sure. Real quick before we get out of here, Josh, how long you been an Angel fan?
Let's see, 14 years.
14 years.
Although it depends. I've been consistently watching the games for 14 years.
Okay, so
But I
you've
remember when I was about 4 years old, I was a big fan of like John Lackey and Garrett Anderson, but I don't have the same recollection. So I've been watching and going to the games for 14 years.
it's not bad, not bad. For your generation and others, man, that have gone like a sick decade without seeing any postseason, man, I want that to change. I hope that can
Yeah.
change. And again, like a lot of people said, this year's sweeping of the Dodgers was our World Series. I believe even just getting to the postseason, throwing that champagne, I think everyone's going to stay up late that night or day, whatever it is, the clinching game to get into the wild card, if it is a wild card. I mean, let alone a division. I think that'll be our World Series. I mean, you get this Angels team into the postseason, and you're going to see a lot of fans crying and happy, and people are going to be like, "Why are you so freaking happy?" It's like, because it's been a decade, damn it. Like you don't know the frustrations of being an Angels fan. It's very, very tough. So I'm gonna tell you what I tell everybody, man. I'm looking forward to the day where we can all celebrate and throw one back for the Angels making the postseason. But we'll have to see when we get there, right? Um, Josh, any final thoughts? Because I just want to say I appreciate you coming on here on a Sunday, wrapping up the Seattle series. I mean, other than them striking out a billion times, very frustrating. Could have won easily 2 out of 4, maybe even 3 out of 4. I got pounded here today. Um, any final thoughts, my man?
I just wanted to respond to that. Yeah, I have so many friends and family that used to be Angels fans, that were Angels fans for, a decade. And then when Otani, signed with the Dodgers, they flipped over.
Hmm.
Or at some point before that, they jumped off the Angels train and hopped on the Dodgers bandwagon. So when it does happen, hopefully sooner than later, it'll be sweet. But until then, we got to put up with this team.
Yep. And then hopefully the Angels go further and you can say, see, you should have stuck with us.
Yeah,
No get
yeah.
backs.
I don't want to see him at the games.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So good show, Josh. I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully you can come on again here soon. And
Yeah, thank you for having me.
anytime, my man, and appreciate your contributions on the post game shows, dude. So with
Of
that being
course.
said, oh, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
I just said of course.
okay. So this is Todd Fox here and Josh, both residing from Whittier. It's the first time
Yep.
we had two people from Whittier. All right. Have a good one, guys.